Hello, wonderful summer students, and welcome to week 8. What does week 8 mean? Week 8 means that we have 2 weeks left to go and one essay to write. So let's get started and take a look and see what you need to be doing for this week in order to make it through and really do a great job on these next 2 assignments. I'm going to start you off by giving you a little warning. These 2 assignments are kind of heavy duty, okay? The database exploration assignment requires you to use all of the information that you learned in week 7 in order to apply to this assignment. You're going to be using your article that you emailed me and the article that you found in SIRS, right? The one that you completed the comparative stakeholders worksheet on. And essentially, you're going to be using this for the database exploration assignment, okay? We'll talk about that in a second. The other thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be using all of the concepts in week 8 over here, okay? And you're going to plan your critical evaluation essay. So we're going to start by kind of taking a look at your analysis essay that you'll have feedback on by this point, right? And we're going to take a look and see how we're going to add on to that analysis essay in order to take it from simple analysis, where we're just, kind of looking at things on their own and then looking at how they work as a whole and work together. And now we're going to evaluate them, okay? So we're actually going to a higher level of thinking. We've coasted all the way up to now one of the highest levels of thinking, and it's critical thinking in this course. So let's take a look and see what you need to do in order to complete these assignments and complete the assignments well and set yourself up for the next 2 weeks of our course, okay? I'm going to be honest, these are important things that we need to really understand as we move forward. So my suggestion is to really take your time this week and methodically go through each module in 7 and 8, okay? So that you're really understanding the information and that you can ask me questions as you go before, you get into our progress checks and into the planner, okay? All right, so let's take a look first at database exploration. This is what your database exploration will look like. I want you to make sure that you are watching the video because it tells you exactly what to do and how to do it, okay? I take you through the entire process of database exploration, and so make sure that you are watching this video and seeing how to actually. The other thing that I want you to make sure that you're taking a look at is make sure that you're reading the directions, okay? I have linked all of the pages that you need in order to help you with this assignment. Now, of course, there are really 2 parts to this assignment. The first part is going to be going through the crop test. So since you're listening to this in week 8, that means that in week 7, you already learned about information literacy. So when I say the crop test, that means that you already know what the crop test is and you're familiar with it, okay? I would go back into week 7 to look at information literacy and to make sure that you are, that you're going through the crop test different criteria and really understanding them so that you're able to write about each for the article that you found in the SIRS Issues Researcher. All right, so you're going to write out your APA reference for R3, right? You're going to be answering the questions. Make sure that you answer them in full. Make sure that you give as much detail as you possibly can. And then when we get down here into part 3, okay, you are going to actually complete a response. Now, if you look at our directions, you are going to have 2 articles that you are talking about in this paragraph. This is simply just a response paragraph. So you already know how to do a CSET response paragraph, right? We did that in the first 2-3 weeks of class. And so I want you to apply that knowledge to be able to write 1 paragraph, okay, that's going to talk about which perspective you actually agree with. Now, it says you must choose 2 different articles. Here's what I want you to do. Make sure that you are choosing the article that you found, right? Reading 3. And then you can choose either reading 1, which was Overdose by Angela Patmore, or you can use reading number 2, which is the CDC article by Peter Pischke, okay? So either Overdosed or Peter Pischke, and you must use your article as well. Okay, now in order to complete this, really what this is an exercise is learning how to talk about two different articles. Okay, I'm highlighting it as we go so you can see what I mean. Two different articles in one paragraph. Okay, what happens is when you are talking about two articles, your reader can get really confused. All right, so you want to make sure that you learn how to introduce an article so that your reader is understanding exactly where the information is coming from, what you're comparing, and really what information they need to understand in order to understand what your point is by the end of the paragraph. Okay, so this is a skill in using two sources in one set paragraph. Now, where do you find this information? Well, it's really simple. It's in the week 7 module. So using multiple sources in writing. Okay, this gives you examples. It tells you exactly what the framework is and what it looks like. Then you can use this page, which is a framework, which gives you a little bit of transition words, and it tells you a formula, and it helps you use language in order to make your paragraph as clear as possible. So it takes you step by step how to actually create this paragraph. Okay? Now that we know that what the database exploration is, right, we're applying all of our 7-week information. Let's go back into the course schedule and see what we're going to be doing in order to complete the critical evaluation essay planner correctly. What I would do is I would take a look at the week 8 modules, and I would take them piece by piece. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules. I would group these two together, okay, and then do one a day to make sure that you're really understanding what you need to do for each of these and really learn these concepts, okay? Now, make sure that you are looking over the critical evaluation essay overview. I would also recommend looking at the sample critical evaluation so that you can see what it looks like, because I bet you're going to notice something really interesting. You're going to see something that you've seen before. You're going to see your analysis essay, okay? Because really what you're doing in your critical evaluation is you're taking that analysis essay where we just talked about how the author used the concept and why he used the concept, right? And now we're going to a higher level of thinking. In fact, it's one of the highest levels of thinking in the critical thinking scale, right? And we're going to evaluate it. We're going to say, all right, well, this is what he did. This is why he did it. Now we're going to add on to that analysis essay, and we're going to just simply say, did he do a good job? Okay? And so I really want you to take a look at the critical evaluation essay overview, because everything I just said tells you exactly, it is right in here, and it kind of lays it all out for you. So take your time with this page. Go through the building part here. Go through our thing link here. Make sure that you're clicking on each of the areas. Then when we get down here to actually how to build the essay, take your time looking through to see what you're going to be changing and adding to for this analysis essay. We're not taking anything away. We are literally adding to this analysis essay, okay? So make sure that you go through this so that you understand what you need to do for this essay and get you in the mindset for when you're answering the questions for your planner. All right. Now, the other thing that I want to share with you is this. When we look at week 8, each of these concepts, audience, bias, evidence, and ethos, pathos, logos, these are all of the concepts that we're going to be adding new paragraphs, right? Or maybe adding on to already existing paragraphs from your analysis essay. So I want you to take your time with these, because for each of these concepts, you will need to be writing about them for your evaluation essay, okay? So if you kind of skim through, that first part of with language and credibility and evidence, we're adding on. So make sure that if you didn't feel confident writing in your analysis essay, that you're going to be confident writing with your evaluation. These are the pieces that you need to know, and you have a week really to complete them, so you have some time. The one page that I do want to direct you to for your planner is this one. When we look at critical reading evaluation, this page right here, this is your Bible. This is your lifeline. What it does is it tells you exactly what we did in analysis, and then it tells you exactly what information you're going to need to include, okay, in order to be an effective evaluator. So make sure that you take some time with this graphic. Watch this video because it really goes through it in depth. And then make sure that you're thinking about the Peter Pischke article as you go through all of these questions here. Just take your time and sit with it, okay? Just think about Peter Pischke. How would you answer these questions? That's going to get you in the zone to start planning this essay and really getting yourself familiar with it and rolling, okay? So you'll see how your mindset changes from analysis to now answering these questions and being like, oh my gosh, I'm on a whole nother level here. I'm thinking about this in a totally different way. Okay, that being said, this page here also is important, and you're going to see this on your planner as well. When you are deciding whether or not the author did a great job, we call that weak or strong. This is the way that you determine it. So when you're looking at language, did the language add or subtract from the author's claim? Did it convince you or not? Just the language piece. If you can answer these questions, it's going to tell you whether or not the language piece was weak or strong. It does the same thing for credibility. So it gives you some guiding questions, and it tells you a little bit of an explanation so that you know how to talk about it and how to write about it, okay? So really use this as your guide as you're doing your planner and moving forward. We have an evidence section, and then of course we have an overall section as well. All of it is there designed to take you from what you did in analysis and bump up your thinking and teaching you how to not only think about the concept, but how to write about it as well. I love this page. This is like the best page, I think, in the entire course. It's one of the most helpful ones that we've got. Now, when we go into the actual critical evaluation planner, there's one last thing that I want to share with you. And I know that we're 12 minutes in and you're probably exhausted, but this is a nugget. What you're going to see is this looks a lot worse than it is. But what I did was I actually copied all those questions from the critical reading section that I wanted you to read to remind you and to help you. Now, when you go through this, you're going to highlight one, and then you're going to actually answer each of these questions. Highlight one, answer the questions, okay? All of this is based on taking your analysis essay and bumping it up to evaluation. You're going to do the same thing for credibility, answer the questions, okay? You're going to take a look at evidence, and then you're going to talk about your article, because remember, we are using that article that you found in SIRS in the evidence section of our critical evaluation. One time, but I want you to start really considering where you're going to put that and how you're going to be talking about it. The last thing that I want you to not skip is this. Right here after the language section, what you're going to do is you are going to actually write your language paragraphs for your critical evaluation. All right. I'm not going to get into it here because there's an entire video on it and the directions are pretty clear. So I just wanted to point out to you that after you do your planner, or even if you do your planner in chunks, that might actually be a good idea, right? Do it if you do page by page for each of your modules, then go back and do each piece of this planner piece by piece. That might work. But as you do your language evaluation, excuse me, I want you to make sure that you are not forgetting to write your 2 paragraphs of your language section for the evaluation essay, okay? Other things that I would recommend, again, is to go into the sample evaluation, all right, so you can see how the two areas compare. And really, again, my advice is to take your time this week and really think things through and do a nice job, okay? Now, that's everything this week. I think personally that this is one of the heavier weeks of the class. only because there's a lot of learning to be done, and you're applying week 7 and then applying week 8 information. So take your time, okay? Now, reach out to me should you need to. All right. And I'm here for you. If you need anything, I will be available. And I can't wait to see what you come up with. I think you guys are going to hit this one out of the park. All right, everybody. Good luck.